candidate, Dr. George Vithoulkas, who has been conferred with the Right Livelihood Award by the Swedish Parliament for his outstanding contribution to classical homeopathy. We also have with us
Dr. George Vithoulkas, Dr. Jawahar Shah, Dr. Farooq Masha, Secretary, Indian System of Medicine, Mrs. Shailaja Chandra, and dignitaries on dais and friends. It gives me a great pleasure to participate in this All India Homeopathic Seminar organized by the Medicore Foundation, Mumbai. I congratulate the members of the organization for inviting Dr. George Vithoulkas, who is celebrated and respected by millions of homeopaths in this country as a master in homeopathy. If we look into the history of homeopathy, it oriented in Germany, traveled through different countries in Europe, and became one of the most accepted and popular systems in America. It is practiced in Africa.
Thank you. We now request our chief guest, sorry sir, you'll have to get up again, Shri N.T. Shamugam, to please honor Dr. George Vithoulkas with a gold medal on behalf of the Medicare Foundation. Thank you.
Members on the dais and the august audience. Dr. George Vithoulkas needs no introduction, basically. But still, for the benefit of those young generation who may not know much about our Mahaguru, Dr. George Vithoulkas was born in Athens in 1932, and he lives on the island of Elonisos, Greece. In 1967, he began to teach classical homeopathic medicine in Athens. And from 1980 to 1986, he taught mostly in United States, in Berkeley, near California. In 1995, he established the International Academy of Classical Homeopathy, which I recommend to most of the young enterprising doctors to have a visit and go and learn the proper art of classical homeopathy. I have been myself as one of the students at that particular academy, and I can vouch for it. Some of the books written by Dr. George Vithoulkas: The Science of Homeopathy, The Medicine of the New Men, the Materia Medica Viva volumes, talks on classical homeopathy, essences, not only in English, but in Italian language, German language, Norwegian language. Now I just received a fax just 2 days ago, which states that Dr. George Vithoulkas has been made a visiting professor in one of the world's best medical university in Spain, for the professor of homeopathy at the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Basque Country, Spain. He already teaches at Saint Sebastian University Medical School in Spain since last many years. And this is a big feather in the hat of homeopathy, that in a big medical school, a homeopathic doctor has been appointed as a visiting professor. So please give a big hand.
Say a great thank you for the honors that were showered on me, and especially by the effort that the Minister of Health of the central government and the permanent secretary for health have taken in to come here and inaugurate this, I would say, the most crowded audience I ever addressed. I also must say that, as you most probably all of you know, I was here back in 1963, 64, and 65, attending several colleges, homeopathic colleges by that time. And I must also say that these 3 years were the happiest years of my life. I consider that India's sincerity and the emotionality of these people. I want to change a little bit the program which I had in mind, because the Minister of Health perhaps must get an idea of the possibilities that we have in homeopathy. And therefore, I will start presenting a case which was quite dramatic. I will give you a little bit of the history of the case. Back in 1990, I was teaching in Germany in a seminar with 300 doctors, and one of the students during that time came and said to me that her mother, who was in a hospital in nearby the place where I was teaching, her mother was lying with the idea of both her legs being amputated because of quite progressed gangrene state. It was a Friday when we were starting the seminar, and the operation was programmed for Tuesday. In the meantime, the hospital was doing all kinds of examinations on this particular lady, and apart from the gangrenous state that was coming up to higher than the knees, apart from that, she was suffering with chronic diabetes, and it was found out during the last examination that was also suffering with an adenocarcinoma of the lungs. So this was really a dramatic situation for the doctor who was going to have her mother amputated. And also for me, it was an awkward situation because I had very little time to act. Please, if you don't mind, close your... So I went to the hospital and I saw this lady, about 70-year-old, lying in bed, of course. She was not able to walk because of extreme exhaustion and heaviness in the legs. And I took the case. I went back to the seminar room, and we discussed it with the students, and we decided to start with the remedy. As you understand, we had to show the latest until Monday evening that a kind of circulation was starting with the legs before the surgeons of the hospital, they were persuaded to postpone the operation. So I will give you first the description of the lady for those that you question was another question was it possible with the remedy that on Monday, that means in 2.5 days practically, 3 days, we could have such an effect on her organism in order to persuade the doctors not to perform the operation. And we hoped that this will happen, and it was interesting that I said, in spite of being such a desperate case, we still have hope. The idea of hope came from the fact that the remedy that was presenting at the moment this woman was quite clear, an arsenicum case. And whenever we have advanced pathology, but still the remedy picture is clear, then we have hope, even if it is the worst or the end stages of pathology. Now I must tell you what happened. On Monday evening, the circulation was definitely improved. The surgeons who looked upon the case, they were disturbed, as you may understand, because they were absolutely certain this woman should be operated. But seeing that the improvement on the circulation was quite impressive, they decided to postpone the operation for the end of the week. So they gave us a few more days for the remedy to act. In the end of the week, it was very interesting that the surgeons, they saw further improvement, and they said, okay, don't forget, the daughter of this woman was also a conventional medical doctor, right? So she could talk with the surgeons on a par, and they could not tell nonsense to her, right? So they decided to postpone the operation, and by the end of the week, they said the improvement is so much that we will not operate, but the woman, since she could not walk, she should go to another clinic where you can continue your treatment on the other clinic, because this is a surgery clinic. Sorry for the...
Before we move on to the scientific session, the ministers and all would like to take leave.
What?
The ministers would like to take leave. We move on to the session. Before we move on to the scientific session, to do the video, we have to move the table.
I see.
Okay.
Right.
So we will just let the dignitaries leave and occupy the chairs and
Yes.
so that we can shoot the videos, because it's not possible to project.
All right.
So just and then we can continue.
Okay. I would like to do here, first of all, in the group of 300 doctors, there was a Polish surgeon, a specialist in this case. He got up and he said, I can attest that I have operated in this condition about 1,000 legs. He has amputated. He said this is a condition where every surgeon will amputate, especially due to the fact that all treatment that was applied was not successful. They tried to make a bypass, did not work. They tried to give antibiotics, did not work. And they have tried also to give homeopathic treatment and did not work. Now this condition has developed because the woman was a diabetic since quite a long time. Now, this woman also was receiving homeopathic treatment as well. She has I did not mention it to see whether you pick up the remedy before the fear of death. So the daughter confessed to me that her mother told her that since many years she had no sexual thoughts or desires at all, and she was abstaining from having any sexual contact with her husband. Continuing to treat, don't forget, the woman is suffering with adenocarcinoma as well. Diabetes, adenocarcinoma, and the state of gangrene that came along. And we had to treat all that. The treatment took about, as I said, 2 years with several remedies. After anthracinum, now, I had forgotten about this case, but I decided to present the case into a seminar, and I asked my secretary to contact her daughter to see what happened with this case, because I had no information how she fared after the end of the treatment. So here I have the report, which was written on last year, 99, and she says, the daughter, "Dear George, your treatment of my mother was very successful. She was in a good condition till she died at 26th of October 98. That means she lived 88 years with the condition that you will hear. At this morning, at the 26th of October, she probably had a stroke. She was very weak and tired and did not want to get up. She fell into sleep again and again, and when we called the doctor and the doctor arrived, he recognized that she was going to die. He observed her last minutes and did not interfere. She died in a very tranquil way. It was like her way to live, and I'm filled with gratitude. Your treatment was unbelievable. It was like a wonder to change her dangerous condition, and I want to thank you very much." Now, there is an interesting point here which she mentions. In 96, 2 years before her death, fractured the column femoris, and she got a plaster and recovered in a short time. She did not get any medicine, just a plaster, and she recovered in a short time. No complications of the circulation or in any other parts of the body. After a few days, she was able to walk, and this condition continued till the end of her life. When my father died in January 97, she went in a nursing home, and there she enjoyed the company of others. You can understand a sepia enjoying the company of others. You can understand the deep changes that took place in her. You can understand how much the woman she kept inside. You can see still there how much withdrawn she is, no expression still, and what a kind of a change this woman had inwardly in order to have the physical symptomatology been reduced. I learned a lot in these last years with my mother about life, about sickness, and about homeopathy. She's a very strong homeopathic physician now. Dear George, thanks a lot, and etc. So this was quite, I would say, a dramatic case that we must not give you the impression that we can cure all cases of adenocarcinoma and diabetes and gangrene in the last stages. But when the remedy appears and it is correct and it is clear, then you have hope. But the main thing is, do we know enough? Now I present you the case very simply, right? The moment you are in front of the patient, things are not as simple as that. You cannot get the essentials and put them together, because there is other information which coming up like noise, and you have to pick up from the different symptomatology, the important points will paint a clear picture of the remedy you are trying to find out. And in this case, we were lucky that the remedy, especially the first remedy, the arsenicum, was quite clear and gave the immediate result and saved her 2 legs and saved her life actually, and gave her a tranquil death. And what more we can ask? The question is, of course, as you say, can you say that you cured this case? I don't know if the adenocarcinoma was cured, etc. What I know that this woman lived for another 8 years, becoming 78-year-old, and lived in a good condition. And these are possibilities we have with homeopathy. And I'm so glad that the government of India is pushing forward the idea of homeopathy, because what homeopathy can do is unbelievable. Really, I many times I have said, if any camera was behind me all the time I was treating 150,000 cases perhaps I have treated, then everybody will believe and will understand the power of homeopathy. Thank you.
For about 15 minutes after the stimulating session, all the delegates